Alright, Shalom, giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Baruch Hashem Yahushai, Baruch Hashem Ruach double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, and Shalom to you, Arkim, pushing this word around the globe in faith with truth and in sincerity. As always, I'd like to begin by saying that we are the real Hebrew Israelites. The real Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians and West Africans predominantly. However, you are going to get Israelites that look like the other 17 nations because Israel has been scattered amongst all people throughout our various captivities. But if your seed line, which is your nationality, through your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible named Israel, then you too are an Israelite no matter what you look like, because pertaining to Numbers chapter 1 verse 18, your lineage is determined by your nationality, I should say, is determined by the lineage of your fathers, okay? So let's get into this little lesson. I was just reading an article on my news app on my iPod, and I came across this little bit of information. So let's just read this. It says BBC Proms Controversy. It says the BBC has confirmed that traditional anthems including Rule Britannia and Land of Hope and Glory will be sung at the proms next year. Controversy erupted over reports that the BBC was considering the removal of the songs from its set list on the last night of the proms due to their links to slavery and colonialism. Now, let me read this little bit here. Boris Johnson cannot believe BBC Proms decision. This was published on the 25th of August 2020. Let me just play the video.
But I just want to say that, and they're trying to restrain me from saying this, but if it is correct, which I cannot believe that it really is, but if it is correct that the BBC is saying that they will not sing the words of Land of Hope and Glory and Rule Britannia as they traditionally do at the end of last night of the proms, I think it's time we stopped our cringing embarrassment about our history, about our traditions, and about our culture, and we stop this general bout of self-recrimination and wetness. I wanted to get that off my chest.
That's an Edomite right there, spoken like a true Edomite from the heart. Let's read this. This is Prime Minister Boris Johnson says he is opposed to BBC's decision to play instrumental versions of Land of Hope and Glory and Rule Britannia at the last night of the proms next month. I think it's time we stopped our cringing embarrassment about our history, he told reporters. There's no cringing embarrassment about our history. There's only cringing embarrassment about your history. Your history as the Edomites and what you've done. Media reports have suggested that the lyrics are being dropped due to associations with colonialism and slavery. But the BBC says the decision was prompted by COVID-19 restrictions. Kind of bullshit. Fewer performers will be allowed on stage, which makes it harder to perform the songs with a traditional chorus. A BBC spokesperson said, for the avoidance of any doubt, these songs will be sung next year. So you think. Look at the pride of these devils, man. No man knoweth what day may bring forth. You Edomites might not even be in power this time next year, Lord willing. Abba Ratazah. Anyway, says a BBC spokesperson said, for the avoidance of any doubt, these songs will be sung next year. We obviously share the disappointment of everyone in that the proms will have to be different, but believe that it is the best solution in the circumstances and look forward to their traditional return next year. Earlier, the BBC's Director General, Tony Hall, said he felt that the move to include instrumental versions of Rule Britannia and Land of Hope and Glory for this year's performance was the right one. Now, I just want to put something out there, right? I think Land of Hope and Glory, was it that written by Edward Elgar, I believe? I'll check in a minute. Actually, no, it's lucky. Let me check now. I think it was Edward Elgar who composed Land of Hope and Glory, if I can even get my app to work correctly. There. Let me just check this. No, Vera Lynn. Salaki, I must be thinking of Pomp and Circumstance. Edward Elgar wrote that. So, yeah, wrong song I'm thinking of. But Pomp and Circumstance is a badass song. For those who don't know, that's the entrance theme of Macho Man Randy Savage, for those of you who used to be into WWF back in the day. But let me get back to the article I was reading. Okay, Land of Hope and Glory is a different song I'm thinking of. Let's get into this. Earlier, BBC's Director General Tony Hall said he felt that the move to include instrumental versions of Rule Britannia and Land of Hope and Glory for this year's performance was the right one. I think they have come to the right decision, he told BBC's media editor Amal Rajan. It's very, very hard for an Albert Hall that takes over 5,000 people to have the atmosphere of the last night of the proms and to have things where the whole audience normally sing along. It's quite hard creatively, artistically to make that work. Play this little video clip here.
My view about the proms is it's a miracle that David Pickard and the team have done something which I think is really important, which is to have 2 weeks of music at the end of the prom season of live music. I think that's really, really important.
But you know what I'm getting at here, which is the principle. There's been front pages, a huge amount of noise on social media. The Culture Secretary's made a point about it. Was there a discussion at the BBC about dropping those songs because of their association with Britain's imperial past?
They've come to the right conclusion, which is actually...
So there was a discussion. There was a discussion about it.
The whole thing has been discussed by David and his colleagues. Of course it has. But look, the point is they've come to the right conclusion, which is it's very, very hard in an Albert Hall that takes over 5,000 people to have the atmosphere of the last night of the proms and to have things where a whole audience normally sing along. It's quite hard creatively, artistically, to make that work. And I think they've come to the right conclusion, which is actually to include it instrumentally, and who knows what will happen next year rather. I suspect it'll be back.
They've come to that conclusion on the question of practicalities, haven't they, to do with the pandemic. On the question of the principle, do you think, had you been imposed to, would you be happy for the lyrics of that song to be sung, despite any association it might have with Britain's imperial past?
Well, look, the fact is we've come to the right conclusion, which is a creative conclusion, an artistic conclusion, which is, it's there, and it's there in a medley of instrumental playing around sea shanties and all of that. I suspect it'll be back next year.
Well, he added, we have come to the right conclusion, which is to have a creative conclusion, an artistic conclusion. There is a medley of instruments playing around a sea of shanties and all of that. I suspect it will be back next year. The concert is due to take place on the 12th of September with an audience with a limited performers at Royal Albert Hall due to concerns around COVID-19. Responding to the news of this year's changes, Mr. Johnson told reporters, I cannot believe that the BBC is saying that they will not sing the words of Land and Hope and Glory or Rule Britannia as they traditionally do at the end of the last night in the proms. I think it's time we stopped our cringing embarrassment about our history and our traditions and about our culture, and we stopped this general fight of self-recrimination and wetness. I wanted to get that off my chest, he added. Those are quotes from Boris Johnson. A Labour Party spokesperson responded, the pomp and pageantry of the last night of the proms is a staple of Edomite summer. Because that's what it is, man, Edomite summer. The running order is a matter of the organisers and the BBC, but enjoying patriotic songs does not and should not present a barrier to examining our past and learning lessons from it. In a statement on Monday evening, BBC Proms said it was announcing that the concerts programme following... In a statement on Monday evening, BBC Proms said it was announcing the concerts programme following recent speculation. The whole debate was initially sparked by an article in the Sunday Times which suggested the songs could be dropped completely in the wake of recent Black Lives Matter protests. The newspapers claimed they were about concerns by key members of the orchestra about their associations with British Empire, colonialism and slavery. The Proms said there will be new orchestral versions of Land of Hope and Glory and Rule Britannia, as well as a new arrangement of Jerusalem, which will be sung. With much reduced musical forces and no live audience, the Proms will curate a concert that includes familiar patriotic elements such as Jerusalem and the national anthem, and bring in new moments capturing the mood of this unique time, including You'll Never Walk Alone, presenting a poignant and inclusive event for 2020, the statement added. Ivor Novello-winning composer Erilyn Wallen confirmed on Monday evening that she is making a new arrangement of the Proms' favourite Jerusalem. In it, I remember the Commonwealth nations, and I'm dedicating the work of the Windrush generations, tweeted the Belize-born British musician. Why is Rule Britannia controversial? Rule Britannia is set to music by Thomas Arne, 1740, and its lyrics are based on a poem by James Thomson. It contains verses: "The nations, not so blessed as thee, must in their turns to tyrants fall. While thou shalt flourish great and free, the dread of envy of them all. Rule Britannia, rule the waves, Britain will never be slaves." The pride of these devils, man. The pride of thine heart has deceived thee, because Obadiah speaks against this, and according to the book of Obadiah, you are going to go into slavery, you Edomites, man. Let me read that again, man. It's funny, man. It says, it contains verses such as, "The nations not so blessed as thee must in their turns to tyrants fall. While thou shalt flourish great and free, the dread and envy of them all. Rule Britannia, rule the waves, Britain will never be slaves." Land of Hope and Glory makes similar reference to the might of the former British Empire, which some people today find problematic. A panic about race. Trevor Phillips, the former chairman of the Equalities and Human Rights Commission, told Times Radio he felt BBC is always in a panic about race, and one of the reasons it's always in a panic is that it has no confidence. The principal reason it has no confidence is that there is no ethnic diversity at the top of its decision-making tree. What you have is rooms full of white men panicking that someone is going to think that they are racist. Broadcaster and choir master Gareth Malone had suggested that anthems are outdated, tweeting, "It's time for Rule Britannia to go." Tory MP, it's a bit of a long-ass article. Tory MP Michael Fabricant said that the 2020 move was all very sad, adding, "There's some lovely roads to Rule Britannia." not for the people you oppressed, man. Not for Jake. Not even for the other heathen nations that you've had your way with, man. Speaking on BBC Radio 4's Today programme, he called for a compromise of a single voice performing the tune rather than the usual sing-along version. "Let's have a single voice singing those words proudly." The pride of you devils, man. He said, "There's nothing wrong with a bit of tradition." Yes, there is. When you're an Edomite, there's everything wrong with your traditions. Because you ain't upright, man. You ain't white people. You ain't upright. And you ain't white. Let me say that again, slowly. I said, you ain't right, R-I-G-H-T. You ain't upright, and you ain't white, W-H-I-T-E, people. You're just Edomites, man, the basest of all men. So it says, "Let's have a single voice singing those words proudly," he said. "There's nothing wrong with a bit of tradition, and it is a beautiful tune." Chi Nwanoko runs the Chikini Foundation, which aims to provide opportunities for Black, Asian, and ethnically diverse classical musicians in the UK and Europe. She told BBC, "We find it offensive. For any conscious Black person who is aware of their history, the empire and colonialism, for example, they will struggle to enjoy the patriotic jingoism of these songs." So there's the end of the article. So let me get some scriptures. As we do. What do we want? What we want is Jeremiah 49:10 is a good place to start. It says, "But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not." You know? It says, let me read Jeremiah 49:12. It says, "For thus saith Yahweh, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. And art thou that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it." You know? "For I have sworn by myself, saith Yahweh, that Bozrah, land of Edom, shall become a desolation and a reproach and a waste and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual wastes. I have heard a rumour from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen, saying, Gather ye together, and come against her, and rise up to the battle. For lo, I'll make thee small among the heathen, and despised among men. Thy terribleness hath deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart, O thou that dwellest high in the clefts of the rock, that thou that holdest the height of the hill, thou shalt makest thy nest as high as the eagle. I'll bring thee down from thence, saith Yahweh. Also Edom shall be a desolation, and everyone shall go that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the neighbour cities thereof, saith Yahweh, no man shall abide there, neither shall son of man dwell in it." You know, that's talking about Babylon the Great. Jumping down to verse 20. "Therefore hear the counsel of Yahweh, and he that hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that the purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make them in their habitations desolate with them." You know, let me jump to Obadiah. It says, "The vision of Obadiah, thus saith Yahweh power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumour from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us raise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, Who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee has deceived thee, and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, destroy even the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest in the other side, in the day that strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, and you Edomites have the audacity to try and sing about Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction, neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people, and in the day of their calamity, yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those that did escape, neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them, and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh hath spoken it. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain of the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. And the captivity of the host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zaphareth, the captivity of Jerusalem which is in Saphad, and shall possess the cities of the south. And Saviour shall come upon Mount Zion, to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be Yahweh's. So you can sing all you want about your rule Britannia as if you're going to ride off into the sunset and rule forever. You ain't ruling forever. You can't even manage this kingdom in its current state. Everything's falling around your ears and you're getting butthurt about it. That's why Boris Johnson's getting so animated about we need to sing these traditional songs and all this shit. You keep singing your songs, man, because in the day that Yahweh Shai comes back to crack the clouds, you ain't going to be singing Rule Britannia in them days, man. You ain't going to be singing Rule Britannia for long. So enjoy your fleeting moments of glory while they're still here, because Esau, you're finished, man. Your ass is lucky if you've even got one more year left in your rulership, man. Your whole kingdom's falling around your ears. It's a fucking joke to see you people in the positions of power, man, because you can't rule shit about Rule Britannia, all this kind of rubbish, man. Fuck you, Esau, man. And with that, man, I'm done, man. I'm done. So giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bar Hashem Yahushai, Bar Hashem Chakodash. Shalom to Aki. I'm pushing this word with faith and truth and sincerity. And until the next lesson, I'll say Shalom and a Bar Babal. Shalom.